NDP Indigenous Services critic Sol Mamakwa joins NetNewsLedger to talk about the Thunder Bay District Jail. It's James with NetNewsLedger. Joining us by Zoom is Sol Mamakwa, who is the Ontario NDP critic for Indigenous Services. And Sol, one of the issues that you've been outspoken on is the Thunder Bay District Jail, which is an antiquated facility. It's slated to be replaced, and we've had deaths in that facility. We'd have a COVID outbreak in that facility. It is proving that it is long past time for that building to be replaced and retired. What do our readers and viewers need to know?
We have to understand that the Thunder Bay District Jail has been is a very a facility that's very old. It's a facility that has overgrown its its use, and the safety of the inmates that are there, which is mostly Indigenous people. There's a high percentage of Indigenous people there, and but also the safety of the correctional officers, the staff of that work in that place. I speak for their safety. But also it's important to know that, over the last, 15, 20 years, there's a lot of deaths that have happened in that jail. And of course, and I think, there's a number of suicides, deaths that have happened, people that have died by suicide in that facility. And the staff are not given the proper resources to be able to provide a good service there. And it's really important to reiterate that we need to be able to, that jailing system that I think I can speak about the justice system overall is not working for Indigenous people. It is important that, people know that the justice system that's there in the North is not working for First Nation communities.
It's more of a legal system than a justice system.
Yes, yeah. When we talk about the justice system, it's the chronic underfunding of perhaps the police service, the legal aid, and also the court system. And then, of course, is the corrections, right? So it's all, that's all part of the issue. And I think people don't understand, how, when we talk about court systems in the North. But I think I want to go back to the corrections itself, the jail itself. And, certainly over the last a month and a half or so, 2 months, we've seen an increase of positive cases of COVID-19 in the jail. And the workers, the Ministry of Corrections haven't been properly resourced to be able to work on, get automatic, proper testing for these inmates. Because what happens is when they're released, there's no system in place to be able to follow through, whereby, a First Nation member goes back to the community. There wasn't any notice to the community that this person was coming, and then we started seeing COVID cases in the community through that system. And I think it's important that and it just seems that because of privacy issues, right? They cannot release any information with other agencies, institutions, because of their release, become an individual being released. And look, at this time, it just seemed like the individual privacy laws that are in place override the collective privacy, the overall collective wellness of the people. So that those are the systems that are in place, and we need to be able to provide a better system that will address these issues when we talk about the correctional system. And I think it was last summer, after my nephew Kevin passed away in the jail, I had asked for that place to be shut down and to come up with a system that's move them somewhere else, and because that place is not safe. I've gone there, I think last last couple of years, I've gone there maybe 2 or 3 times, and it's not safe. And we cannot, the overcrowdedness that have happened. Yes, it was good to see some of the individuals that because of when the COVID cases were increasing, some of them got sent down to Toronto, and I remember some of the family reaching out to me, said, "I don't know where they are. I don't know where he is, but it's somewhere down south." But I think we need to be able to address those issues, and I know governments continue to say that they're funding this new facility, but again, we hope to see some action, actual work that will, I'm not saying that's that's end all answer, but still we need to work with because not all inmates belong there, because they're just waiting for something that that need to happen within the legal system, right? So it's certainly an issue, and I think that's we need to be able to control those positive cases right in jail. And I know I can't remember who had asked me about if their inmates are should be prioritized as during the vaccine, and we should be able to have access. PPEs and testing, all that for the jail itself, because when they're released, it filters into the First Nation communities, flying communities as well.
The one of the issues that I note is that the number of people who get arrested who are violating conditions of release, and one of the issues that I've seen repeatedly, someone who has an addiction to drugs or has an addiction to alcohol, and the judge releases them saying, okay, you can't have any drugs, can't do any alcohol, out you go. And there's no supports there. And, I liken it to if you had a diabetic and you released them from hospital and said, you can't do insulin. As funny as it might sound to people who have no issues with addictions to alcohol or drugs, it's a disease, and these people can't stop themselves from taking these things, and to just let them out and say, and then they get released. It's like catch and release fishing. It's pointless.
Yes, I think what you described there, the way there's a vicious cycle that happens within the correctional system, within the jail system of our people going through there. And, like even, sometimes you have these conditions of not to go back to a community,
Yes.
and then, sometimes that takes a month, sometimes that takes 6 months, sometimes it takes over a year to go through that charge of the reoffense, or and it's and it breaks up families, and it just spirals. And I think that's one of the things that we need to be able to deal with. And it's a lot of people in the far northern Ontario, First Nations, Indigenous people get caught up in that.
Now, if you were the Premier of Ontario tomorrow, what would you do to change things?
I think our communities have solutions. Our communities have, the system that's there for us is it's a very colonial system. This system was never built for Indigenous people. This system is not broken. It's working exactly the way it's designed to, which is to take away the rights of our people to the lands and the resources that are up there. And I think, to be able to, I'm not saying let's release all the First Nation Indigenous inmates, but I'm saying I think we need to provide a system, a justice system that will work for the communities, a justice system that is based on healing, wellness, and addressing the historical trauma that is there. There's a reason why we see people that are in, when we talk about impacts of, residential school, the trauma, those issues, we need to be able to address those. It would be a holistic approach, and we need to put resources in there. And then for far too long, we've been neglected as First Nations. And I believe that's something that we need to move forward on.
I've spoken with Associate Minister Thibodeau, who is mental health and addictions with the Ford government. He's toured the jail. He was shocked. He's looking for putting those resources in place. Have you spoken to him?
You know, not since his visit, but I know he's visited communities in my riding, example, Sandy Lake. And then we met in the hallways of Queen's Park. We meet in his legislature. So we have these conversations, you know, that he's very aware of what's happening. But at the end of the day, you know, when you're a minister, when you're an associate minister, you're very, you know, at the end of the day, Premier Ford and government has the strings, you know, to the resources that are needed. And
okay. And so this jail system, you know, they've said they're replacing it, but under COVID, it seems everything's been slowed down.
When we talk about slowing down under COVID-19 pandemic, there are things that are happening in our communities. You know, example, you know, it could be, you know, like there's a housing crisis.
Yes.
A suicide crisis, a mental health crisis. You know, these are exposed, like these crises are being exposed more because of the pandemic. They've always been there, but they're more exposed. And people are paying with their health. People are paying with their lives when we're focusing on the pandemic itself. And you know, so I think that's and you can say the same thing about the correctional system, the correction system. You can say for the justice system.
Thank you very much, Sol. I think we'll leave it there, and we'll be talking to you, I'm sure, again on this issue.
Okay, thank you for having me, James.
To keep up to date, you have to subscribe. You have to hit that like button and hit the notification to stay in touch.